I was like, honey, don't ever count me out. Don't ever count me out. Because it's just not going to happen. I'm too much of a person that strives for greatness to be counted out. Like, I'm always going to bounce back. When I was growing up, I never felt like one of the cool girls. I wasn't that girl that people would be like, you know, oh, I gotta be her friend. And it's so funny because like my gap is coming back now, but oh my gosh, when I was younger, I had a huge gap, larger than it is, and my teeth were just jacked up. And so growing up, you know, when the boys like you and this and that, like they would always like tease me hardcore about my teeth and my big lips and stuff like that. So I never felt like, I'm so pretty, oh my gosh, look at me, you know. It wasn't until like I got older and started to really just embrace the different elements of myself as what they are that I started to feel more confident about just like who I was. I think I started to feel good in my own skin when I went to college, and I ended up getting my degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing. When graduation came up, my dad basically said, you have until July until you're off the tip. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? I felt like this pressure, like, oh my, because up until that point, like I had, you know, jobs and stuff off and on, but nothing where I felt like I had to really provide for myself solely. So once he said that, like that reality set in. So what I did was I did enterprise, and then I also had a second job, which was an internship in PR, and that was through a program. So that's how I got my introduction to PR, because before that I knew nothing about PR, and it just kind of worked in my favor. A dark moment that I had to overcome was when I first moved to New York. I moved with a different PR job, and long story short, I ended up getting let go. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And everybody was saying, when are you gonna move back to California? It was like the common question, and I felt like people were pushing me to give up. And I was like, I'm not done with New York yet. Like, I haven't even really gotten started with New York yet. I'm not leaving. I went through all this darkness, and like I was definitely like going to church on a regular basis. I just needed like some spiritual food. I needed some foundation. I just needed a lot. And I was going to actually Creflo Dollar's church at the time, and they said, where two or more pray, you know, God hears you. So I went down to pray about this job. Oh, I'm getting emotional. And the lady prayed with me, and I was just like, I don't even know her, but I feel her prayer, and I needed this. And I ended up getting that job, and I just was like so thankful that although I didn't even know those people in that church meeting, like the whole congregation, I just felt like they were there for me in that moment. Like, that's what I needed. And it came out on the bright side of things, and I was just like so happy. I think the one thing that I love most about myself is that I'm a talker. So that means that I can talk my way in and out of most situations, and I can get what I want, and I can get what I need. So I basically just worked my situation. I used my skills, and I was like my craftiness, and I said, okay, how am I gonna spin this in my favor? And I just stuck it out, and I was looking for jobs, and that's when I found a job at the NBA. And it was so funny when people started to find out that I had then went from being unemployed to getting a job at the NBA. It was like, mouths were hung open, and I was like, honey, don't ever count me out. Don't ever count me out, because it's just not gonna happen. I'm too much of a person that strives for greatness to be counted out. Like, I'm always going to bounce back. I had been working at the National Basketball Association as a publicist, an entertainment publicist, and there was definitely more men, but also, not to mention, I was the only Black woman too. So then that brought another dynamic to the scenario. I've always had a certain level of respect for myself in any job that I've had, but I knew that the NBA has a certain level of perfection that they expect. I knew that I had to do my best every day, all day, you know? And for me, I didn't like try and dumb down the fact that I was a Black woman. I would chime in when there's pop culture related things that I probably knew more about. Like, I'll never forget, I was in a meeting one time, and one of my colleagues said, you know that guy, Lil Weezer? I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, Lil Wayne? But I also had to be careful about how I would dress, especially during finals and things like that, when we're around players and stuff, because I didn't want anybody to get the wrong idea about me. So I started to feel like I just needed more. There had to be more out of life. My purpose was greater. If I can't even have like a day off, this work-life balance is not gonna work for me. So at that point, I said, you know what? I think this is it for me. I'm done. I needed to go with something that was natural to me and something that I had been overlooking, which was writing. So I started just digging in and writing the book. And then I also created Life According to Her as a blog, like for the girl like me, the urban contemporary woman who's out there living her life. She's dating, she has trials and tribulations, she's trying to figure out her career. Nothing's perfect, but she's exploring. And my book ended up coming out, and Life According to Her ended up taking on a new meaning for me after the book was released. I realized that not enough women were there for each other and like supporting each other and championing each other without needing or wanting anything in return. When it was time to be put to test, when I'm asking you for something, I've never asked you for anything. This is the one time that I kind of like need you, and some people didn't come through, and I was like, you know what? I don't like this feeling. And I'm sure that a lot of other people experience this too. And so I said, you know what? I'm not gonna let that negativity stop my spirit of how I interact and how I engage with other people. I'm just going to try and create a community where that feels good and it feels okay and it's natural. And I was like, that's what I need to do with Life According to Her. I like to see Life According to Her being a true destination for women to feel good, and a platform that not only provides that encouragement, but I also want it to be an example. Sometimes people feel alone, and I want people to know that you're not the only one going through this. You're not the only one that's in these scenarios, in these situations. We're all going through things. We're all trying to figure out our lives and trying to figure out our paths and our passions. So it's really, really important that other people feel like they're not alone in the trials and tribulations that they go through. 3 words that I would use to describe myself would be sassy, because I've been sassy since oh my gosh. And I'm like one of those people that's like no nonsense, like my BS radar is real high. So you need to be confident in who you are. You need to be confident in your talents, in your strengths. You need to never dim your light for other people or situations. And my mom always says, you have to teach people how to treat you. You can go over and talk to anybody else however you want to talk to them. You can bring your negativity to them all you want to, but over here, this is how you're going to interact with me. So I've always been sassy. So I would say sassy, opinionated, and strong.